The Dallas Mavericks are going to be a problem, like a massive problem and a huge out for the Boston Celtics. While the ball is quite literally in the Boston Celtics court with one game to win the NBA championship, and they have 2 games at home, the Dallas Mavericks are not going quietly into the night, and there are some alarming statistics if you're a Boston Celtics fan, and a lot of reason to be incredibly hopeful if you are a Dallas Mavericks fan. We're going to break all that down. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben, along with Aaron and Nate. This is the Daily Huddle. We break down the biggest news in sports, and it's all about the community and a poppin' comment channel. So let me know, how do you picture Game 5 going in Boston tomorrow night? And let's dive in. So right off the bat, one of the most alarming things is that last night, the Dallas Mavericks had a 48-point lead, which is the biggest lead in the NBA Finals in at least 50 years. Like, if you're playing NBA 2K, at that point you bump up the difficulty like 5, like from rookie to like all pro, because that was absolutely ridiculous. And unless you're a Dallas Mavericks fan or just like appalled by what you saw, you probably turned off the game. But that is not the sign of a team that's like on their way out. That's the sign of a team that's like here to stay, saying, hey, we're not done. With Charles Barkley retiring from TNT, his famous thing was like 1, 2, 3 Cancun. And you could see when a team had given up, that is a team that like down 3-0, no team in the history of the NBA has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit to win the NBA Finals. Obviously, remember LeBron James came back from 3-1. Well, the Dallas Mavericks don't have to come back from 3-0 anymore. They just have to come back from 3-1. One of the other absolutely insane things about this is, even though the Boston Celtics have what seems like a commanding 3-1 lead in this series, they're actually losing the point differential. So the Dallas Mavericks have scored more points than the Boston Celtics by 6. And so if for some insane reason the Boston Celtics win a nail-biter and they beat the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow night just by like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, they will actually win the NBA Finals and lose the point differential, which has never happened before in my quick reading of StatMuse. So that's crazy. So just looking here at the level of belief from this team, it starts at the very top with Jayson Kidd. And this is why having a coach matters more in the NBA than anywhere else. We see this with Heat culture and what we have there, that like a great head coach can truly change everything. And there's no quit in Jayson Kidd, and that's how he played. I was a Phoenix Suns fan growing up until, the Denver Nuggets got good, but that's just how he has always played. And you see that transferring to his players. You see Luka Dončić like being a foreign-born player. All the history of like no team has ever done this before. He talked about in one of his press conferences the fact that he didn't stay up for any finals games because it was the middle of the night where he lived. And so all of that baggage that comes from like, oh, no team has ever done this, that doesn't mean anything for their star player. And you just see that's not going to impact him whatsoever. The same thing can be true of my favorite team, the Denver Nuggets, that Jokic has come back from 3-1 deficits multiple times in the bubble and other times, and all of the baggage that these American-born players have, Luka is having none of that. And he said, hey, we're going to believe until the end. It's the first to 4, and they're not at 4 yet, so we're not giving up. And we see how beat up he is. He's got ice bags strapped to him and just looks crazy. He said, I have a belief in this team that we can do it, and so we just have to keep believing. Other thing that is crazy concerning for the Boston Celtics is the health of Kristaps Porziņģis. If Porziņģis can play like he played in game 1, 2, and until he got hurt in game 3, I think the Boston Celtics will wrap this thing up at home in game 5. But he's questionable at best, and even if he does play, he's not going to be the rim guarding Kristaps Porziņģis. And the thing that is crazy about the Dallas Mavericks is just, let me show the stat first, and then we'll watch some of them, that their ability to finish at the hoop by isolating Luka and then having him just lob city, they're calling, the Dallas Mavericks are out lobbing the lob city that Blake Griffin and Chris Paul made famous back in the mid-2000s there, that they had 57 alley-oops this year on their run to the finals, which is more than if you added up the next teams all combined. And I feel like the Denver Nuggets, the Jokic to Aaron Gordon was unstoppable. Boston seems to be doing that all the time. OKC has a fast pace and tons of alley-oops, and the fact that You add up the next 3, and they're still 15 short of the number 1 leader, and so that is back in play. I think the reason for the Dallas Mavericks struggling in games 1 and 2 was the fact that Kristaps Porziņģis was able to defend that, and then they didn't have an answer for it in game 3 without Kristaps. But I do not expect that to continue. So Kristaps' health and his ability to stop the Lob City is going to be absolutely crucial if the Boston Celtics want to close this thing out. And you just watch against the Twin Towers of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they were having their way with them. And having just faced the Minnesota Timberwolves, I thought the Timberwolves were going to sweep the Mavericks. And they're legit, you guys. Like, the Dallas Mavericks are legit, and this is a very, very tough thing to stop when you have guys who have swallowed their ego and their pride. And I never thought those words would come out of my mouth when I'm talking about Kyrie Irving, but it truly has. Lively as a rookie to step in and play like this, the future is really, really bright if you can keep health and you can keep Father Time away from Kyrie Irving and probably keep him off of Twitter as well. But I just think if you look at their run here, the Boston Celtics championship, they have dodged all difficult talent. Like, they have not had to play. We already knew that the West was the best. I would say like the top 4 teams in the West are better than any teams in the East. And so for the Dallas Mavericks to come out on top after knocking off the Thunder, who were the 1 seed and had incredible youth. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had MVP votes. They had height. They had a fantastic team. They were just young. To knock off Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who'd been there, and a great coach in Ty Lue. I think people were just sleeping on the Mavericks there. I certainly was, and thought I didn't think the Mavericks would get past the Clippers, and definitely I didn't think they would get past the Timberwolves. And so to basically gentleman sweep the Timberwolves and just kind of, you had an Ant-Man flurry that was able to make that a somewhat competitive series just by the Mavs getting that 1 win. But there's no fear in this Dallas Mavericks team to go to the Timberwolves and win those first games on the road. I think playing in the Target Center with those raucous Minnesota fans, like, there's nothing else in Minnesota that's even worth, like, maybe the Mall of America, but like, Minnesota fans were so in on the Timberwolves, and I think that is a tougher environment to play even than going to Boston and winning 2 games. And I don't think all the baggage is there for Luka. I think Kyrie is set to have a statement game. He has not played well in Boston, and obviously those fans have been in his head. Having left there, having stomped on their mascot there. But I just think that Luka believes Kyrie has been there and fought back from a 3-1 series, and he knows his legacy is on the line. If he could win a championship again after winning one with LeBron James, that would go miles for him. And it is truly 1 game at a time, and I really think that's all the Dallas Mavericks are looking at it. They're not looking at it as a 3-game lead they got to overcome. They're saying, we got to win tomorrow night in Boston, and after that we get to come home, we got to win there, and then we just got to go do it one more time. And why not? I really think that game 3 in Dallas, Mavericks were up huge. Like, that was crazy. They had a 20-point lead on the Boston Celtics, and because Luka was in foul trouble, they blew that lead and lost to the Celtics. But had that not happened, we would be talking about a tied series heading back to Boston. And just do not sleep on it. We will have all eyes glued on that game tomorrow night, and we'll be breaking it all down here on Daily Huddle. Thank you for being here, and let's see what happens with the Mavericks tomorrow night.